Hey guys, what's going on? My name's George and welcome back to the Floor YouTube channel. So today we have a really exciting video. We're in the M3 and we're heading up to Motech Performance. Now at Motech, we're going to be upgrading the brakes of my E92 M3 and I'm fucking excited for this. So we're in the M3, it's about 8 o'clock in the morning and we're going to be heading up to Motech Performance. Now I've always really been a fan of Motech, and that's kind of because about 4 years ago I was actually living in Kettering, so really not far away from where Motech Performance are based. And this is before all of the Joe Achilles stuff, all of the Motech M140i's, etc. I used to go over to their unit and just kind of look around all of the cars that were there. You always had a nice selection of fast cars, BMWs, and at the time I was driving a silver Nissan Qashqai, so I was really fanboying over the really cool cars that were there. But it was kind of always an aspiration of mine to get them to work on my car, and now I have my M3, it kind of seemed like the perfect time to get it done. So they are open and they are operating. Obviously all social distancing rules will be followed, but we're in the M3 and we're going to be heading up there now to go and do that. But as always, first of all, we need to get some fuel. So we're going to head to Shell, get some fuel, and then I think I can get McDonald's breakfast as well, because the drive-thrus are open and I'm hoping that this early there isn't going to be anyone there, so hopefully we'll get a coffee as well. So what are we actually going to get done today then? Well, at the end of this video I'll do a full price breakdown and how long it took, etc., of all the different parts and why I went with those parts as well. But we're going to be doing EBC Yellow Stuff brake pads all round on all four corners of the M3. Now, I've heard fantastic things about these brake pads from lots of the people that I've spoken to. So EBC Yellow Stuff brake pads are kind of that fast road, light track use brake pad, and that's kind of what I'm going for as well. I mean, I do daily drive this car, but when I'm out actually pushing the car, I really do need strong braking performance. Also going to be going with Goodridge Braided brake lines. These are obviously steel braided lines that will help maintain brake pressure throughout the hose evenly, meaning that I'm going to get more efficient braking and less brake fade as well. And that's one of the things that I really want from this. I don't want to get much brake fade. Now I know they're not track brakes and whatever, and eventually that they will, but from comparing from the OEM standard, these should really make it. Oh, there's a caterer in there. I love those cars. I've driven a few of them on track. They are very fun. But yeah, so this is not a full track car. This is for light track use, fast road driving, and I'm okay with that. So Motech are going to be doing all the work. Shouldn't take too long, I imagine. Maybe a couple hours, kind of hoping. Takes you about 2 hours to get up there, 2 hours there, 2 hours back. So we're kind of looking at most of Saturday gone. But most of you are saying, well, George, you live down in Berkshire. Why are you driving all the way up to Wellingborough to go and get your brakes done? And I'm a very big advocate of driving to a garage that you want to get your car done at. It's not just about who's closest to me, it's about who do you think will do the best job. Many of you will know I'm a big fan of Reedish Motorsport in Bristol, and that's about 2 hours away from me as well, and I'll drive there all the time to get stuff done to the car because I trust them and I trust their work, and I know that they're valued in the E92 community, and having service records for them will help the value of the car as well. So I'm more than happy to do that. I'm not just about getting up and driving 20 minutes to somewhere. If there is somewhere that close to you, then fantastic, but to me there isn't, or at least that I know of. So if you do have recommendations for E92 M3 garages in Berkshire, then do let me know. But right now I'm happy to drive. Let's make a day of it. I've got up, we're going to get a coffee and some breakfast, and we're going to drive up to Wellingborough and go get the car worked on. We're just going to pop into Shell now. Actually, if you're not aware, Shell has obviously the Shell Go app. And one of the things that I'm not too keen on at the moment is going into petrol stations, because obviously lots of people use the PIN machine. I don't really carry cash on me. There's also lots of people queuing, and ultimately they're not that big, which means that the queue kind of goes out the door sometimes. But the Shell Go app allows you to almost prepay a certain amount of money for a pump, fill your car up, and then the pump will then stop at that amount. Or if you fill your car up less than that, it'll refund you the balance, and then you haven't got to go in. So I've just been turning up, clicking on the app, putting in £50, filling the car up, getting in my car and driving away again while everyone's been queuing. So if you weren't aware of that, it's a really good tip for not having to interact with anyone in petrol stations. Okay, so we're all filled up with fuel now. Now I need some fuel, so we're going to head to McDonald's drive-thru and see what we can do. Oh, are we open? Are we open? There's no one here? No, it's closed. It's closed. Ah, boo. Okay, all right. Shit. Okay, fine. Starbucks it is, because I really need a coffee. All right, boys, so we've got our Starbucks, a little pastry and a bottle of water ready to go. But do you know what? I've been to this Starbucks here, but actually there's an M&S food hall that has a queue all the way down there. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. What's everyone doing at M&S? I thought we were past the point where we were queuing up really early in the morning on a Saturday to go to a food hall. Is that really what everyone's doing now? Okay, so we're almost ready to head off now. I've got my coffee. It's time to head up to Wellingborough. So we've got about an hour and a half drive. I've got the GoPro set up, so I'll put that on, maybe do a time lapse of the drive, maybe there's some interesting moments. Normally when I drive this way, it's actually quite a good driving road, and as we go past Silverstone, so normally there's some kind of fast cars around, but with the current COVID-19 stuff, I'm not sure whether there will be, but I've got that just in case. If not, we're gonna cut straight to Motech Performance when I get there. So we'll catch you guys in a second. Okay, so we've just got to Motech now. The car's just gone into the workshop. Mike's going to give us a quick overview of the EBC Yellow Stuff brake pads, which is really, really nice of him to help you guys understand exactly what EBC Yellow Stuff pads are all about and how we bed them in, etc. I'm also going to have a quick look around the car park and the Motech M135i that's here as well. That car is amazing. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay, so this is an EBC Yellow Stuff front pad for an F82 M3.
Yeah.
F82 M4, should I say. So a few things about what EBC that people don't necessarily know is that you don't actually run copper slip or any type of lubrication on them.
Okay.
Because it's an organic pad, if you put anything on there, it can contaminate it and it can act like a cancer.
Okay.
So it basically can heat up, and obviously you get two types of chemicals under different conditions under heat, and it will basically upset the pad.
Yeah.
So you have shims in place to basically help locate it, and then obviously you have a breaking in procedure. So you have like this orange, sort of red, sort of poor version of a brake pad basically, which is classed as breaking in. So your disc is A-shape and you put a brand new pad onto it. They've got to sort of form together. Okay. So for the first 5, maybe 600 miles, you may get a bit of squeak and a bit of dust noise, but that's basically just bedding in obviously the rubbish. There's no point bedding in the decent stuff because you're just wasting it. So it's a 2 compound layer pad. So you're basically just getting rid of that orange stuff. And then you'll start to notice a difference instantly that it will break normal now. We'd obviously always advise on the back of the packaging, I'll give the instructions, but basically bed it in for about 300-400 miles, then start to do some progressively hard stops. You can still use it. If someone jumps out in front of you, still use your brakes, don't hit them. Yeah. But just give it some progressively hard stop, get some heat into it and then let it up. And the whole point obviously is that is basically you'll kind of cook the pad and kind of bake it to position and obviously a temperature it's used to, and then it kind of beds in from there. I will give you all the information. And also on the pads where you have a big groove down the middle. So of course when you're braking, so the Untitled Chapter 3 has holes in the disc. Yeah. That's basically to get rid of gas and pressure and heat. So if you're braking hard, it's a number of a build-up of obviously gas. Well, the only way for it to escape is through the disc, and yet again through the pad as well. So obviously when you're on track, you're driving quickly, the key thing is to get rid of that heat as quickly as possible. Okay. So a bit more information on the pad.
And from a daily perspective then, so if they have that bed layer up top, then as you drive normally, do you need to kind of warm them up slightly? No, they just go straight into it?
So the good thing about the Yellow Stuff pad is they do different extremes. So they do green for slightly lighter cars, red for cars that are probably around the sort of 250, 200 horsepower, and then yellow upwards, and they also do blue. The good thing about the Yellow Stuff pad, because it is organic, it has a good cold bite. So if you're using a car in October, November, and you come out and a dog runs out, you can put the foot on the brake and it will still work like a normal pad. But obviously it's a high temperature as well. So this works the same sort of operating temperature as a standard pad, but where a standard pad would drop off in temperature, because of pressure and heat, this will keep going and going and going.
Okay.
So that's why that works really well. So that's the best reason for these. You do get occasional bit of squeak from them, a bit of squeal. Not a lot, it's not excessive, but you've got to bear in mind, it is a track fast road focused pad. There has to be some kind of give.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things, but that's just the compound for it. But
Okay.
yeah, nice bit of kit.
Because I originally found out about those from, like I said, when I used to come here, when you and Joe did that first M135i video.
His white car.
Yeah, the white car before his petrol heads tour. He came and did the springs, the pads,
spaces.
etc.
Yeah,
And that's how I found out about those.
Yeah,
really.
and he's run EBCs ever since.
Awesome, excellent. Thank you very much.
More than welcome. A bit more information for you, but like I was saying, good cars to start with. The braking system, they're pretty good. Actually, the front calipers, the pad is the same as a 7 Series pad.
Is it really?
Yep.
Because I had the wheel off and I was looking at the caliper itself and thinking, shit, it doesn't look that big, kind of behind the wheel, but you look at it as off and you think, fucking hell.
Yeah, well, people sort of
massive.
see a size and they think, oh my god, like a 10 piston caliper. Think, oh my god, how good is that? But it's no more efficient than like a 6 piston. It's only about the pressure particularly puts on.
Exactly.
So exactly. So as long as you've got a big piston, it doesn't matter if you have 4 little ones. It's one of those things. There's different things, of course, but there's a bigger volume of size. You're going to get a bigger volume of surface of pad.
Yeah.
For what you've got, it's absolutely fine. But of course, if you want a bigger pad for bigger surface area, if you're doing endurance racing, for example, then you might want to go something bigger. But for fast road use, pad makes sense.
No, exactly. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like I take it out on kind of fast back road drives, and it's got so much power. And especially when you get to the top end and you're really ragging its neck, you kind of put your foot on the brake, and it's the thing that kind of lags on it the most. And you just think, I don't want to go that fast if I've got a brake.
It hasn't got an initial sharpness.
Exactly.
So when I had mine, I used to go down the road when I had my M3. And so I used to work in Elsbarton. So you come down the dual carriageway and you turn off left to that hard left to Elsbarton. Yeah. What I was realising was just the same amount of braking pressure, not particularly hard, braking from 70 to go into the corner. I realised I was so much sort of further into the corner. I was braking, I was still on the dual carriageway, but normally I'd be before on the corner. Yeah. So you can brake that bit deeper with the same amount of pressure.
Yeah, it's good teaching for like trail braking because you fucking have to.
Yeah, you've got to, yeah, exactly. But no, they're really good. You'll get to enjoy them, and it's quite a fun thing to work out your braking, you know, how far you can go into it, but not on public road.
No, exactly. With the Goodridge lines, we've come into an issue.
This is when you potentially get a problem.
Yeah.
You see the corrosion underneath. I don't know if what potentially happens is, obviously, it's not so much this coming undone. Basically, the brake line basically sticks to the inside of the nut.
Yeah.
So when you turn the nut, it doesn't release, and you twist the line up.
It snaps off.
And then when it's corroded, well, it's not even that. If you you can give it a quarter of a turn, and it will just crack, and then you're fucked.
Yeah, I know it breaks. Okay.
So that's the problem. So I would potentially, for the sake of the potential shit that might happen, hang fire on that for a minute. Yeah. Until someone's got the ability to make up lines if they need to, or put a joint in or whatever, because we just obviously here just fit stuff.
Just fit stuff, yeah.
So that's potentially a problem. And I'd rather
not do it.
I'd rather say be prepared to do it, and if it does do it, then it's fine. So you can just get on. Do you know what I mean? You can just rectify what needs rectified.
So what do you need if it breaks them? Is it a BMW specific bit or?
No, I mean what you do is you basically just make a new line up from the ABS. So
okay,
you just get like 210 mils, flare the ends of it, run a pipe down. That's the general consensus. Or if you want to stick to OE, you just order a new OE pipe. Yeah. So it's a lot easier and cheaper. You'll get a roll of copper pipe for 10 quid. Yeah. Flare ends are like 20p each. Okay. It's an easy fix. Yeah. It's just we're not geared up here to do that. That's fair. So what you suggest is kind of not fitting any of the lines. Do the pads and stuff. That's fine because that doesn't affect anything else. Doesn't put any pressure on that or whatever. But the lines just hang fire. Take them with you or whatever. All right. Yeah, I thought that might happen. I've heard lots of stuff about those lines just being fucked basically. Yeah, and it's like people say, oh, you know, like this is low mileage. It's like, oh, it's 11 million miles, but it's like, yeah, no, but it's been out there. Yeah, it's been heated up and cooled down, heated up and cooled down, right? Yeah. So quicker job then, just brake pads. Yeah, basically. Yeah. Okay guys, well luckily Motech have moved the M135i out for me to have a look at in the sun, so let's roll some cinematics so you can see how it looks.
as I mentioned beforehand, this car, in my opinion, the M135i when it came out, really didn't like it, and I made myself quite vocal about that on Instagram as well, about how much I didn't like it. And the reason for that was obviously moving to front wheel drive and me being a bit of a BMW fanboy and always liking rear wheel drive, but actually when I think about it, it kind of makes sense. If the M135i is going up against a Golf R, an Audi S3, an A45 AMG, then they're all four-wheel drive. And if you're a customer and you don't want rear-wheel drive, then you're never going to go for the 1 Series, so BMW kind of losing out on the market there. With it just sitting so much lower to the ground and wider on, I think you said 15 and 30 mil spaces, it just looks so much meaner as well. And yeah, obviously, I like white cars. The size of these grills actually suits the front of this car. It kind of just looks like a bit of a weapon. And you know what? From a daily perspective, I would definitely consider getting one of these. Things to bear in mind. We're going to get the EBC Yellow Stuff brake pads done today. Unfortunately, there's been some complications with the Goodridge lines, meaning that because the car is old, the actual brake lines that are on there have corroded slightly, which means that there's a chance if we remove them, that they break entirely. And Motech unfortunately can't fix that if that happens. If it does, that means I'm then stuck in Wellingborough for the entire weekend, and I don't really want that to happen. So I'm going to take the lines away with me, and we're going to try and organise a time in the future to get them done, whether that's here or whether I need to get someone to custom create a line to go back into the braking loom. I'm not really sure how I'm going to work it at the moment, but the EBC Yellow Stuff brake pads will make a huge difference. That's the first time I think I've ever seen it moving without being inside it.
People say that about their own cars. Brakes true. I didn't brake on it particularly hard, but it doesn't suddenly jerk or pull or anything like that.
Okay.
You got a little bit of a squeal, but it's just that braking in procedure. You sort of see you've just got to get through that. It's a brand new pad. Problem is that your disc is A shape, and you've got obviously a pad is a new shape, so it's got to
You've got to bend together, haven't they, really?
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit of love and you'll be as good as gold. But yeah, job's good.
Now, Motech have been fantastic today. I've had a really good time. I've just been hanging around outside for about 2 hours looking at all the cars, and you know what? I've just had a really good time. That M135i that I've shown you earlier looked amazing in my opinion, and I'm kind of tempted to buy one. I won't, but if I was looking for another daily car, that would definitely be in my list. So we're all done here. Mike and everyone's been fantastic, and I can't thank them enough. I've had a really great time. It's a shame we couldn't get the braided lines fitted, but we've got the EBC Yellow Stuff pads done. Now, Mike's given me a lot of information about these pads, and that there's a strong bedding period of around 500 miles. And the reason for that is because if you think about it, you have a caliper which essentially is a certain shape. So in theory, or hypothetically for the moment, let's say your caliper shape is a curve, right? So only slightly, because you've had brake pads wear the inside of it, but it's a slight curve. So the brake pad that you've removed would have been matching that shape. However, when you apply a new pad to the wheel, actually what you'll find is the brake pad is flat, meaning that there's a gap or slight gap. Now I'm exaggerating that for the effects of the camera, right? But it'll be like 0.5 millimeter gap difference between the shape of the pad and your caliper. So basically what you want to do for 500 miles is to take it easy and allow the pad to mold itself to the shape of your caliper. Once it's done that, you will have maximum braking performance. As Mike mentioned earlier, there's actually a film or a protective layer over the Yellow Stuff brake pad so that it allows for that bedding in period, and he showed that on camera earlier. So I'm just going to take it easy, we're going to relax, we're going to take a nice drive home, nice and chilled, early braking, and just allow the pads to bed into the car. Now we've got about a 500 mile period to go, so I'm going to reset my odometer just so that I can see exactly from now till then on how many miles left we've got to go. So they've given me the old brake pads, and I'll take those home with me, as well as the braided brake lines. When I get back in my room, I'll give you a summary of the costs and the invoices, etc. that I paid to get this done, so that if you want to get it done in your M3 as well, you're able to. I'll also show you what the old brake pads look like versus what you saw Mike holding earlier with the yellow stuff pads. So again, big thank you to Motech. They've been fantastic. They're really kind to me, and I can't ask for better service than that. So I'll catch you guys in a minute when I get back home in my bedroom, and we'll do an invoice run over, and we'll do a old BMW brake pads review as well. Right, let's go. Right guys, so we are now home, back in the bedroom. The drive home was really good. I could initially tell a really big difference on the EBC Yellow stuff pads. Even from just putting my foot on the brake pedal for the first time, the initial bite of the brakes was back. And that's kind of what was lacking on the E92 before. I used to put my foot on the pedal, and it was quite a long amount of travel before I'd actually start to feel the car actually slow down. So these brakes initially put my foot on the pedal, and I can feel the weight go to the front of the car. And that's kind of what I was looking for from these brakes. So I took it easy home. We had a nice simple drive, 70 all the way, braking early for roundabouts, etc., allowing the pad to have that low resistance wear against the disc, meaning that they can kind of bed into that shape as I mentioned beforehand. So Motech have given me my old brake pads, so let's open these up and see what they look like. Okay, so these are the old pads. Now they're absolutely filthy, didn't bear that in mind. So as you can see here, actually they were pretty badly worn. So here's the first brake pad. I'm unsure whether these are the front or the rears. I think these are the fronts. However, you can see there very clearly that the brake pad itself has worn quite badly. Now, there's actually you might not be able to see it on camera, but there's actually a very slight curve to this, which is what I was talking about earlier, when the brake pad and the disc need to merge together or form together so that they are the same shape, meaning that you can get a really even braking pressure. However, this one in particular has a kind of wear through away from what looks like the brake pad material all the way through to the material that's beneath the actual brake pad cover itself. And when I was talking about having bad brake pressure, this may have been a serious result. The other ones in here are just as worn, if not even more worn on the sides. And as you can see, these are really rusty as well. And these have just been sat on the car for a long amount of time. And I'm just so happy to have these new pads on, because immediately I felt the difference. Now I will obviously do the 500-mile run-in as Mike advised me to. But yeah, going from looking at these now that were on the car to the EBC pads that Mike showed us earlier, there's such a huge difference, and I could initially feel that, and I can't wait to bed them in and really get some temperature into them. Okay, so those are the old brakes. Now I won't keep these, I will be throwing them away. I wanted to keep them just for reference to show you what the old brakes look like versus the new ones that Mike showed us earlier. So I've also got these Goodridge Performance braided brake lines. Now obviously I said I was going to get these onto the car, but from what you've seen today and the explanation that the guys gave, unfortunately I wasn't able to do that. But obviously I've purchased them, so I will be putting these onto the car in the coming months or so. Okay, so let's get into how much this actually cost me to do, because I'm assuming that if you're watching this video to see if you want to get this done to your car, you want to know how much it costs. So really simply, let's just go over how much each of the parts cost, what the fitting charge was, and were there any other costs that I needed to pay. So from a front pad perspective, and I'll leave a tally somewhere on the screen so you can see, the front pads cost me £157.95. The rear pads cost me £129.95. And I also needed to get some wear leads in there as well, because Mike advised me that these actually can snap when making these changes, so I bought 2 of those at £30 each. The Goodridge lines cost me £124.95 each, and these are all costs just for the parts alone themselves. Motech then charged me £85 fitting, which I thought was really well priced. For all of the parts that were going to go onto the car, to only pay £85 to do it, I thought was a really good price. And then they charged me on top of that £19.95 to top up the reservoir with BMW brake fluid as well. And obviously you want to be making sure that the reservoir is full for all your brake fluid, so I was happy to pay that charge to do that as well. So overall, the total cost came to approximately £577. Now, I thought that was a really fair price, and that's kind of what I expected to pay for this quality of brake upgrade as well. Now, I've mentioned in my other videos beforehand that you really get what you pay for, and that you need to look after these cars. And if there is anything that's worth looking after more than the S65 engine, it is your brakes. Ultimately, the brakes are what saves your life in an emergency, plus also can make you faster around a track when needed as well. So it's 100% worth spending the money you need to get this done. Now, in my upgrade video, I spoke about how I wanted to do a 2-phased brake upgrade. Phase 1 was this, and phase 2 will be the big brake kit from Brembo, and that will come down the line in the future, but that's like £4.5 grand. So we'll wait for that for a minute.
But right now, I immediately felt a difference when I got in the car and drove away from Motech. Even with the bedding in procedure to do, I immediately felt a difference. And I know that from that feeling that when I start to push the car, I will have so much more confidence in my M3 when pushing fast on a B road once I've done that bedding in procedure. So if you're interested in getting this done to your car, I'll leave all of Motech's details in the description down below. Go send them a message, let them know where you came from, and also drop me a DM on Instagram at M3Floor if you found this video really useful, or if you found it interesting, or any advice or tips that you'd give me for maybe trying to get these braided brake lines installed. If you've had experience with your M3 or known someone who has any advice for me to get these braided lines installed, then please feel free to DM me. I'll be really happy to hear what you've got to say. So if you made it this far in the video, please like so I know that you stayed this far, or drop me a comment, because that would really mean a lot to me, and it would really help the engagement on the video as well. Again, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and also if you're new here, please subscribe to the Floor It YouTube channel. That would really mean a lot to me. We drop new videos at 6 PM every Sunday, mainly around BMW content, but we've got a new series coming to the channel in the next few weeks that's going to be all around buying the best fast cars that you can for under £20,000 as a weekend or as a daily car as well, and I can't wait to get stuck into that. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I had a fantastic day. This is one of the best days I've had since quarantine started. It's been such fun taking you guys along with the journey of getting it done. So I'll catch you guys at 6 PM next Sunday. Stay fast. See you later.